pretty indefensible, really. And then they tasered him after that. That's cowboys, folks. That's just unacceptable.
Now, this video that we saw has been examined frame by frame. And has been reported on here, and so you get a lot more detail.
There's a different one too that I saw that's got a little more centered, and quite frankly, both of them. It's going to be very difficult for those cops to explain why they had to shoot this guy. That you could see they were not in close proximity to him. There was no need to shoot this kid, none, and
it just looks from. You know why this just disturbs me? It looks way over excessive, to say the least, and the public reaction has been the same almost unanimously. I always look for the other side of the story, and in this particular case, just from what I've seen, what I've heard, people commenting on it, people who have looked at this, frame by frame, I can't see anybody who doesn't say, what the hell is going on here? What triggered all this? Why did the cops think that they were so threatened by this kid? Oh yeah, okay, he was being mouthy with them because they deal with that all night and all day long and don't shoot anybody. Was this just a one guy who just finally said, to hell with you, you punk, I can't stand you? Obviously the first 3 shots, bang, 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 it seemed to come from one officer. It says that at one point in time, you can see, if you really slow the whole thing down, guys trying to pull the officer who fired the gun away and calm him down.
He should be doing time. He should. That's murder. What we saw there, Brian, unless there's something that we could not see, that's murder. And a cop is not allowed to do that.
And even if you take into the world and all the training they have that they don't know, there could have been explosives. I haven't heard anything about this. This was an 18-year-old kid. His name was Sammy Yatim. He came over to this country from Syria 4 years ago, for whatever it's worth. And there's no case of mental illness at all in the reports about him, and so it's just. Well,
this is not normal behavior. The talk is that he was naked. He had his penis in his hand. There was God knows. It appears as if maybe he was high on something. Who knows what it is? All I can say is I've seen that video. I've seen one that's similar to it. The cops are not close. There's no reports that there was anybody else on the streetcar.
No.
So why did they have to shoot him? Why did they have to shoot him 9 times in 13 seconds then taser him?
And that is a very, very valid point. In that, and they talk about this in an article that Joe Warrington's been written, where the officer who fired the shots had his arm at this angle when apparently this young man who was shot was standing up, and then after he went down, either on his knees or lying down, the officer lowered his gun and started shooting while he was lying on the ground. I mean, it's like cops are very loath to pull their guns and fire them. I mean, just as part of their training. We don't hear about that all that often in Toronto unless it's warranted. Well, and this just seems to, it seems to me like it was a rogue cop. I can't just imagine a young punk got some cop so pissed off that he decided to throw away his career, his training, everything that was going to come away in the heat of a moment, especially with other officers around him, to say, whoa.
Don't go down that road.
Are you thinking this is a pack mentality?
I'm thinking, well, we've seen this before.
Yeah,
cops will back up cops.
Yeah,
that's what'll happen.
They were.
Oh, no, that's going to happen.
Of course they will.
So, I'm not surprised at that. What cops have to realize now is there are people walking around who can videotape this stuff, and so this isn't going to get whitewashed like a lot of things, because a lot of times when this stuff happens, they do their little SIU thing. Well, it was a justified homicide because of this. Well, no, that's not going to happen here, because this time the video shows what they did, and there's no way on earth you can say this guy was a threat to anybody the way he was. The cops were, 5-6 feet from the door, right?
Oh, yeah.
Wherever the kid was in there, he's not hurting anybody. So there's no reason on earth to shoot him like that. I'm sorry, but, the cops have to realize something here, too. Our technology now, they're like everybody else. They can be seen. And part of this, too, is we have to, as a society, we can't give in to these guys. We got to say, look, If this cop is bad, if what happened here was wrong, He's got to go to prison just like anybody else who shoots and kills.
What he says
doesn't matter, and they can't back it. Well, it's a justified shoot. No. Not in this case. It wasn't. 9 times, 13 seconds, an 18-year-old kid with a 3-inch knife in his hand. Come on.
Yeah.
I mean, well, there should be riots over stuff like this. I guarantee you, if this had happened in an American city, and it was a black kid, oh Jesus, are you kidding me? Instead, we sit here and go, well, road cop. And I'm not making fun of you. I'm saying that we always tend to side on the side of the cops. In this case, that's going to be awfully difficult to do. It's indefensible.
There is a vigil that has been organized and will start at 6:30 tonight at the scene of the crime, and this is not going to go away.
Well,
it shouldn't, nor should.
And here's the other thing that has to happen here is, look what happened the G20. I mean, our cops were out of control there. Remember that one, the one that happened at City Hall or at Queen's Park? None of the cops could tell you who this guy was, who the one cop was. Remember that? Mm-hmm. That's the same thing. It's like we back each other. I understand that to some extent, but not when people are getting hurt. That went to court. The cop got off. He beat the living shit out of a guy. It's just part of business. It's what we do. You want to live in a police state? Fine. I don't.
I'm being hesitant here, eh?
Well, you're loyal to cops. I get that.
No.
You got your situation.
Yeah,
they screwed you. Where were they?
They
waited till someone died.
Well, I know exactly what went on, and I wouldn't say there's one of the police officers screwed me at all. I think their hands by our system were completely tied, and I can assure you. And I'm not. This has got nothing to do with that. But I will say that the support and everything that we have all had by police, especially when the guy involved in that death the other night being let back in our midst again like nothing has happened, is absolutely something that's near
Bryan,
and dear to us. But no, I understand. But all I want to say is
you don't understand. You clearly don't.
Can I say this? For every good cop that's out there, this kind of thing. We talked about something else last week, how it gives them all a bad name.
The majority of cops are good cops. By far the majority
This kind of thing, I'm sure they're all saying, what the hell are you doing,
I don't think they are. No, I don't think they are. I think they they back each other. They back each other, right? And you know why they do? They do because they're afraid if they don't, then they get ostracized. So it's one of those things. It's an organizational thing. I know that what this cop did was wrong, but I got to back him because if I don't, I'm out. And that's the thought. That's the problem with it. You know yourself that if you're in a lot of different situations, something happens, you got to back your guy. You have to back him 100%. You know he's wrong, but if you don't back him, you get screwed. So no, that's the problem, and that's what's got to get weeded out here. There was an issue that happened around the King Edward Hotel fairly recently, where bunch of cops lied about some guy getting the living bejesus beaten out of him by cops.
Underground car.
And it was on the street. And what happened was that the police cameras caught it. And they out and out lied about that. They lied not because they think that they're above everything. It's that if they don't back up their own guy, they're ostracized. Remember the story of Serpico? Frank Serpico? It was a movie. Al Pacino played the part. And
a TV series, too.
I don't remember the TV series. But I do remember reading the book, and I read the book before the movie came out. Frank Serpico was a guy who was a New York City cop. Now, in New York, the cops were openly corrupt. They seem to have fixed it for the most part now. And Serpico actually went and testified against him. He was ostracized. He was shot in the face at one point. Cops didn't even help him. Wanted him dead. I'm not suggesting that it's at that point here in Toronto. I am suggesting, though, that whole I got to back my guys thing's got to stop. Because here's the thing. People will say, well, he's a rat if he ratted out his cop. He's a rat. An 18-year-old kid is dead because of some cowboy. And if you don't back him up, you're a rat? How does that work? How does that work? Because I can tell you, one of the things that happens, Bryan, is you well know, the crooks look at that and go, hold it, wait a second. You're trying to get me to roll on my guys. You won't roll on yours.
There's absolutely nothing about that video in this case is good at all.
Nothing. No. And as I said, it brings up a lot of other things.
Sets everything back a million miles.
The G20 thing is a great example. The gang members, the guys in the gang unit, they go to gang guys and they say, look, you got to roll on your guy because of this, that, and the other thing. And he turns around and says, all right, I'll roll when you roll because you got to roll on your guy too. Cops will never do it. So why should we expect gang members to? You know what I mean?
Sure.
It's the same thing.
Yeah.
Anyways, it really is a black eye, and it's a real shame it happened. And we cannot forget, by the way, that an 18-year-old kid is dead here.
You know, it screams at me when I watch this, and perhaps for whatever reason, take a leadership role or something else, it just screams at me that somebody in that group of the police officers there, when this guy is getting all over worked up, and the guy just didn't say, whoa, hold it. He's all alone. He's in there. He's as high as a kite.
That's the mindset.
Just you relax, man. Just hold it.
That's the mindset.
Cool it.
But that didn't happen because
Jesus
cops.
Christ!
I
can walk in there and take the knife off the little punk myself. Let me, whatever. Instead of
you're not that naive. You know exactly why that happened.
Well, it just was way out of control. It's just ridiculous.
But that's the part of it. It's out of control because they're not going to roll on. I guarantee you that the SIU will talk to every cop who was there. Well, I didn't see anything. I don't know who shot. Who shot? I don't know who was it shooting. That's what they do. Even the good ones, and the good ones do it for self-protection. The bad ones do it because, that's what they do. And I don't hesitate to say most cops are good, but that mindset, that culture around it has got to end. It has to.
Yeah, and I know there's people out there, and by the way, the phone lines are open. You have an opinion on this, give us a call. But I know that there are people out there who are more pro-police than I am. Who would be saying these guys put up with that crap? There'll be people out there you watch, Bill, who are saying, you know what, that guy there obviously was right up to here with punks and crap and that he's been putting up with his life, and he said,
so what? Then quit the cop. The
he's had it. He's frustrated with the courts and judges that keep on passing sentences that undo all the work that they've done. He's frustrated with dealing with people who are saying, why can't you help me, when he turns around and says, well, because the judge just did this or whatever else. But that's no excuse. It doesn't matter what reasons there are. For that to happen was wrong on so many grounds, as they say, so many grounds. From the very minute that guy pulled his gun out and started screaming at the kid and got himself completely out of control, to all the cops that were around him that didn't say, John, for God's sake, relax. I would have said it. I can tell you, sitting right here, but I'm not a cop. If you would have been doing it, Billy, I would have said to you, hey, Billy, what's wrong with you tonight? Calm down. And you might have looked at me and said, you stay out of this, or whatever. I don't know. But
you wouldn't have. And I don't mean that as a dig at you.
No.
It's very easy to say that's what we would all do. The fact of the matter is, that's the culture these guys live in every day. It's an us against them mentality. That's how they see it. I've talked to cops, Bryan, and I'm sure you have as well. Cops will sit there and say, well, I know, I just saw that guy break into a car, but I'm not going to arrest him because I know he'll be out in 2 hours. I've talked to them. They've told me that.
Can't be bothered doing the paperwork.
It's not worth it to them because these guys are just going to get back. These guys sit there and go ahead and arrest me. I'm okay, because they don't care. I mean, it's, in this particular instance, I don't know what was going on with this kid. I think if they do a toxicology test, he's probably high on something. Did
you read in anything or see anything why the streetcar was empty? Like there wasn't a driver or anyone on it?
Oh, I think they just got off. It was I don't know. I don't remember reading anything on that, but I do know that this didn't have to happen. 9 shots is just ludicrous.
Out of control, man.
Yeah, it really
just
is.
Lost it. Lost it. He's done, and it should be. It doesn't matter. You see, if this hadn't been filmed over on several different angles and by several different people, they might have been able to cover this up if, in fact, that was their want to do. And I don't disagree with you. The cops back up cops, and others just stay quiet about it. But the fact of the matter is that there's no getting away from this, and it's gone viral. The whole social media network is just.
This will be a talking point in Toronto for a long time.
And the trial and the whole thing.
Well, you remember the shooting last year, or around this time, at a block party where some gangsters shot at a couple of young kids, died, and that still won't go away. That was on Danzig. It was shooting on Danzig, and everybody refers to it. This will be the same. This is not going to go away, and this really is, I think, going to be a thing where people will rally around controlling the cops. Because we've allowed this to happen. That's what's gone on here, and it's wrong. I go back to the G20. I go back to the whole culture behind these guys. I think Blair's got to go because I think he fosters this kind of stuff.